LGBTI plus activists have also sent their condolences to the Tutu family in the wake of the Archer's passing. Tutu was a vocal activist for the community as well as for equal rights for all. One activist from Amanzimtoti near Durban has remembered the Arch as an icon for the community which regularly faces discrimination and often brutal attacks. For more on this, we're joined by Newzroom Afrika's Karinda Jagmohan in Durban. Karinda, a very good afternoon to you. Tell us more about the message from members of the LGBTI plus community there.
Indeed. Well, we've just come from speaking to members of the KwaZulu-Natal Christian Council who told us that often the Arch would use his platform as a religious leader to also speak about activism. And in many cases, the Archbishop, the late Desmond Tutu, spoke about the importance of supporting the LGBTI plus community and equal rights for all. Now, one of the activists in this community is Shlengiwe Buthelezi. I'm sitting inside her home and she actually, was speaking about her time with the Arch. You've worked closely with him previously in the 2000s, but first, tell us, ma'am, how has the Arch been a pillar of strength to the community? What messages has he often passed on to yourself and to others who are battling with the discrimination we often face?
Hey, Karinda, I must say, firstly, condolences to the family. Us as a sector, we are very... we've lost an icon, an icon that we call a pioneer in making sure that the LGBTQ rights are being catered for in this country. This started from in the transitional talk when we were crossing from that apartheid era into this democracy. So he was one of the leaders, of course, that made sure this new constitution, our rights are enshrined into. And furthermore, when in the year 2001, when now we started to get, when Thabo Mbeki was at the era of Thabo Mbeki, and then that's when we got the right to marry, and it came the policy as a civil union. He was also very vocal about it. He, not just the policy being passed, but he made sure he started those talks. So was one of the leaders that aided that to happen. Apart from just the policies, because he's always been there using his activism, religious platform, even in churches, queer sectors, we are being chased away, being called ungodly. I remember when even former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, was calling us ungodly. It is an African to be gay. Even say it was even worse than the animal. But then the Archbishop took him on to say everyone has a right to live. Everyone was created by God, and Mugabe was a Catholic and Arch is an Anglican, and he said he would rather not go to a homophobic heaven, because as far as he's concerned, everyone was created through God's image, and we all have a right to exist, and we are all being created by God. We are who we are because we are all created. How we live different, we should embrace our diversity. That's what his weight. And working in my way of activism, because he also was very vocal when it comes to HIV and AIDS. I remember at the time we had the organization, like it was called AIDS Consortium in Johannesburg. I remember leaders like Zach Ahmad, Mark Haywood, and I was a freelance for Prudence Mabele. It's called Positive Network Women, which was an AIDS activism organization. So through that, now and then we will meet the ARC, maybe through conferences or some huge meetings. He was a very fond person. I personally call him a unifying factor, because wherever he will walk in a room, everyone will light up. Wherever there were tension, and he will, I don't know, use his religious articulation, or him as an icon, him as a God-given person. He loved everyone equally, and he used to tell us that. And I remember at some stage, it was at ICC, I think, in Durban, or must have been in Cape Town, when there were some homophobic statements going across the floor. He stood up. It wasn't his turn to talk, but he said, we like to take this turn to talk, to say, everyone has a right to exist, and we are all created in the same image by God.
Indeed. Hlengiwe, you speak about the arch being a unifying factor. At this time of his passing, it's been a difficult year for the LGBTI community. Tell me, what is the state of equality for this community in KwaZulu-Natal specifically? We've spoken about these attacks.
Yes, I spoke about in the legislation point of view, where it's in the constitution and the policies and everything. But in South Africa, we are free in books. Mm-hmm. Our society, it is still very, say, conservative or very not accepting. I'm saying this because to this far, we are still getting the members that are killed. Mm-hmm. You just found me now because I just got home because I was coming from Espingo, a police station. Somebody has been assaulted, and I'd never had a Christmas really, because we had to help people around. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, really, things have not changed practically. Mm-hmm. But things, of course, through the legislation it has, and it's getting better. When we speak of the arch, also, I want to also articulate, when we call for a hate crime bill, he was very supportive from way back, not just now. And through his foundation again, he was just there with us, really. With these hate crimes, I don't know what to say. It is a sad state of affair where we are calling upon the leadership. And we have been doing this in the past 2 years when I'm counting from 2020. But nothing is changing. We feel the law is neglecting us, honestly, in this case. And I don't know what to say about this province. I mean, the province of KZN, specifically Durban. It's been called a pink spot. We don't want that. People must live. People have a right to be. People are it's even enshrined in our constitution. We all have equal right to live. Why are we being killed? Because a lot of things are happening. Yes, this year really has been very hard for everyone else. For us, it has been worse. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better. If we are still in and out the police stations and the courts, we hope for the very good 2022.
Hlengiwe, on that note, and finally, on the passing of the late arch, who has been vocal in his support, what is your message, remembering him? What is your message to the community at this time and as we head into a new year?
Oh, I remember really him as a father figure of the nation. Like I said, I'm going to say it again. I think of him as a unifying factor because we came this far. He held our hand in more ways than one. So I really want to say, let us take the baton from him. Let other leaders learn from him to say everyone has a right to exist. Just don't hate the innocent people because of what God created them to be. That's really I want to say. But also I want to send a very heartfelt condolences to the family. I've met the mother. Mostly I've met his daughter Mpo and her wife. Really, I want to send the condolences and everyone in the Tutu Foundation, because we really had a very good working relationship, and I know they still will continue, especially in the HIV and AIDS activism. Thank you.
Hlengiwe Buthelezi, thank you so much for speaking to us from KZN LGBT Recreation Group. Just speaking to the work that the late Archbishop has done within the LGBTI community. His daughter Mpo, also a member of this community, that has spoken in the past about the discrimination she faced because of her choice, her right to love whom she pleased. This is something that many people on the ground face on a daily basis, the oppression and lack of equality, something that the Arch has been vocal for throughout his life, and of course a message now to stay strong in the face of this as we approach another year.
Karinda, Jagmohan, thank you so much for that interview, as people from around the world and different organizations and different groups talk about the impact that the Arch has had on their lives. And indeed, he was an activist for many a cause and a voice for the voiceless. Thank you very much for that.